Hey QED coders, this is Michael. Jan's not here today, but I wanted to get online and show you something that has really captured my attention for the last couple of weeks. I'm really excited about it. It's Jinaga Cascade, and it's going to be coming soon to the Windows Store and the Apple App Store for Mac and for iOS. Not iOS. This is a desktop application for Mac and for Windows. So before we get into that, we are streaming live on Discord, so go to immutablearchitecture.com, click on the link to get an invitation to our Discord server, and join us every Thursday morning, where we talk about immutable architecture, we talk about Jinaga, we talk about building apps using a strong mathematical foundation based on CRDTs and research papers and good solid stuff. So, speaking of good solid stuff, of course we had some technical difficulties the first time around, but let's see if I can give you a quick demo of Jinaga Cascade. Alright, so this is a data analysis tool, so let's analyze some data. I want to add a data source. I've got right here a CSV file that I downloaded from Kaggle. If I hit edit here, you should see this pops up in Notepad. That's kind of nice. And yeah, there's our headers. There's a bunch of data, and we want to analyze this. So we could pull it into Excel, but let's pull it into Jinaga Cascade. So it gives us the first 3 objects in the file immediately, and it continues to load the rest. And so we can see that we've got orders, products, categories, brands. This is some good data that we might want to get some insights on. So let's start by doing a group by operation. So I want to group by some of these properties. You can see checkboxes appear. It's asking me what properties do I want to group by. So let's start by grouping by category. And now that I've grouped by category, I want to put the resulting rows into brands. So group by category into brands. We're done with that. So now we see the first 3 categories, and we see the brands. So you can see the numbers here. The brands are starting to fill up. So it's taking the records from the CSV, and it's cascading them through this little pipeline and giving us our brands. So now these are all of the properties that were not part of the group by. So category stayed up here, everything else moved down a level. Let's continue that. Now I want to group by the brand. I'm in the brands collection. That's the reason I did that. So you notice that since I selected a property inside of the brands array, it says in brands, group by brand. So it knows this pipeline step affects the brands array. So it's going down a level. So group by brand into, and let's do products. And so now I can see all of the products within that brand. And so this brand has so far 633 different products. So I can see that right here, but you know what I really want to do is I want to count them. So I'm going to come up here. We've got different aggregate functions. So I want to count. What do I want to count? I want to count products. So now in brands, I want to count products into product count. And now, just like that, it adds a product count property, which is the number of records in this array. So that's kind of cool, but yeah, what I really want to do now is give you the total number of the total order amount over all of those products. So let's go ahead and do a sum. And here I'm going to say I'm going to sum over the total amount. That's the total amount of the order. So in brands, sum total amount over products into total ordered. And there we go. We've got that total. updating as we load all the data. So what we're doing here is we are building a pipeline, and then it's showing us a preview of what would happen if we ran this pipeline over this data source. The idea being that if your data source changes, you might want to rerun that same pipeline to analyze the new data in the same way. That's what Jinaga Cascade is all about. Now, I just realized here, I'm not actually, these aren't actually products in here. These are individual orders. So what I really want to do is, after I have grouped by the products, I want to do one more grouping. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I've got these two pipeline steps. I'll just go ahead and clear that one out, and clear that one out. Notice it didn't do any reloading. And that's because it had already processed this version of the pipeline with this data. So it just pulled it right back. So nice and fast. And now we can group by the products. So I'm going to group by the product ID. So there's a little bug where it should have also kept the product, the checkboxes so that I could select more. I'll show you that multiple select in a little bit. This only happens at the third layer right now. I am working on a fix for that as we speak. So in brand.products, so now it knows we are inside of these two levels, group by product ID into, and now we are talking about orders. Okay, so now here's my product ID, here are my individual orders. Now, of course, I really want this product name to be part of the product object, this drone mini right here. So that's why I really wanted to do that multi-select. Well, let's kind of work around that. I want to pick the minimum, we'll say, product name. So if all the product names for this product ID are the same, then that should be just one value. And so in brands.products, find the min product name over orders into product name. There we go. Uh-oh. Got an undefined. Okay, there's another error that I need to fix. Yeah, I think it's strictly doing numerical comparisons, which is weird because this is JavaScript, so it should have said, oh, it's a string. I'll just do that. At any rate, that's what we're really going for, is that we've got information about the products, and now at this point I can sum over the total amount into total ordered. And now I've got the total ordered for this product within this brand, within this category. Let's roll that sum up. I want to do another sum over this total ordered into total ordered again. But notice we are in brands, so we're inside of this array here. Sum total ordered over products into total ordered. So that means that it's going to put total ordered into the brand. So now I'm summing over all of the different sums in the products. So I've got my my subtotals and my totals. Well, I'm not done yet. Let's go ahead and sum over this total ordered in sum total ordered over brands into total ordered right here at the top level, which is category. And so now I'm doing that roll up, and I've expressed that as different pipeline steps. So what's that all about? Why is that so exciting? Well, these are all things that you could do in tools like Excel or Power BI, or any number of data analysis tools. But I found a couple of issues with those other tools. Like, for example, with Excel, the data and the analysis are stuck together. So one Excel file has both. So you want to do the same analysis on a different set of data, you have to create a different file. And how do you get your analysis synced up between those two files? Well, you could do your analysis, copy, create a new file, and then take that data out, put new data in. But now what if your analysis changes? You've got two files. And what if you want a repeatable process? Do I have to do this copy, paste over and over again every week when I get some new data? So this separates the pipeline from the data. So when you save a cascade, that's saving just the pipeline. So yeah, Excel has Power Query, it has pivot tables. So these steps should give you at least 80% of what you can do with Power Query and pivot tables. That's what I'm going for. But yeah, it does that without marrying the two things together. Then what about things like Power BI? Power BI is it's free for an individual, but now as soon as you have that as part of your enterprise, it starts to get a little bit pricey. And setting up Power BI queries there is a bit of a learning curve. So there is a skill there. What I'm going for here is I want somebody to get started and just play with their data and figure stuff out, see things in real time, and it should be really easy. So that's what we're going for with respect to Power BI. Now there are other players in the space, and yeah, each one of them has a different place where they land. Some are really easy to use and not terribly powerful. Some are really difficult to use, have a lot of power, but are really expensive. And so I am positioning Cascade to be for the business user. This is not a developer tool. This is a business user tool. And it's going to be positioned for somebody to be able to work independently without having to come up on a learning curve, and to work well. So this is solid, well thought out a set of pipeline steps. You're not going to ever need to switch to code mode and fix something that really should have been just part of the pipeline in the first place. In fact, there is no code mode here. What you're seeing here, this is the code. When you save a pipeline, it saves this text. You could actually look at a Cascade file and see these are the instructions. So that is where I'm positioning Jinaga Cascade. Now let's see if we can resolve this little issue right here. I want to show you this multi-select. What's the proper way to get the product name up here? So I'm going to get rid of that, and oh, and you saw that it continued processing from an earlier step. And so here we have grouped by the product ID into the orders here. So in order for me to show you this part working, I'm going to go one level higher. So at this point, I'm going to group by not just product ID, yeah, product ID, but also, oh, wait a minute, I am at the third level. I need to go up one more level. Okay. Here, let's group by product ID. There it goes. It's saving those selections, and product name. So I'm going to be grouping by those two properties. So that's going to go into orders. So now I've got the product name out here with the product ID. And I've done that in such a way that if we end up with two different product names for the same product ID, because your source data is not properly normalized, then that is going to give you another object. So that entire tuple of product name and product ID has to be unique. So that's kind of the thing I'm talking about doing it well. That is mathematically how that should work, and there's really no correct alternative to doing this multi-select. The min thing that I tried there, that was purely a hack. I did that hack, and I could see in the steps that it was min, and so it acts exactly the way it should. It should have acted exactly the way that it appeared in the steps. So that's the idea. Understand your data, analyze your data, and then now what do you do with this? Now that you've analyzed your data, you don't want to see just 3 of the categories. What you really want to see are you want to see home and kitchen microphone, webcam. I guess you can projector. You got a projector in your home and kitchen? This is some weird data. Anyway, you don't just want to see the 3 objects that happen to be at the top. You want to spit this back out to another CSV file, or to a table, or to a graph, or a chart. And so the next step is that we will then visualize the output of this pipeline. And so that's going to produce that visualization. And that's going to be the experience then of using Jinaga Cascade, is that you'll open up your Cascade workspace. It will pull in the data that you've connected to it, run it through the pipeline, and show you the visualization. Create multiple pipelines within the same workspace and multiple visualizations, and now you've got a dashboard. That's the base feature set of Jinaga Cascade. That's not everything that you would want to do with Excel. There are still lots of Excel things that fall outside of those use cases. But when that's what you want to do, Excel is not the easiest tool to reach for, and there's a lot of learning that would go on there. But this would be a much easier way to do that. And then let's talk about how does this fit into the Jinaga experience? Why do I call it Jinaga Cascade? None of this has anything to do with Jinaga. And this is intended to be your gateway into the Jinaga ecosystem. So far we have talked about different data sources. I don't know why I'm not seeing the data sources. Let's run this again and see if we can pull that back in. Let's go back to where we loaded data sources. So when we did this and pushed that analyze source button, it pulled up the list of it pulled up a file open dialog and had us select a CSV file. And so you would think, okay, CSVs are the only data source. They're certainly the most useful one, but let's talk about adding some additional data sources. Let's say that you want to connect to a database, and now this does become a developer tool, or at the very least, developer adjacent. So maybe you've got a business analyst or a tester on your project that needs to analyze some data. So now I say, let's pull in some data source, and it says, well, what kind? Do you want a database? Okay, here's how you could fill in the connection string. Okay, connect to that database. What are some other data sources that we could talk about? Maybe a data source would be an API. So, again, within the developer tester space, add data source where I'm now I'm selecting a Swagger documentation page, and I'm saying that particular endpoint right there. I'm going to pull in all of the JSON objects. And so now when you open this up, these aren't just flat objects. These are already nested because it's the JSON that's coming in. Okay, so that's useful for developer tools. Let's talk about if we wanted to use this as a small business owner. So maybe I'm using Stripe, or I'm using Shopify to run my store. So let's add a data source. So file new, add a data source, and now what kind? I want to go to Shopify, log me in, and it's going to hit the Shopify API and pull in your purchase or your sales history. Okay, and then you can start to analyze your sales data, build a dashboard, save that cascade, and now whenever you double-click open that cascade, instead of saying this, you see your dashboard. Just pop that open, look at it once a day, look at it as often as you want. Stick it on a monitor somewhere in the office. So that's a nice, easy way for somebody to build that kind of visualization, even if they don't have a development team and they're using off-the-shelf services like that. Yeah, so what about developer adjacent folks that are helping you with managing the project? You've got your project managers, your Scrum Masters, and product owners. So maybe add data source, Jira, or Azure DevOps. Pull in all of the work items, and then start to build pipelines based on work items. Organize them in sprints. Talk about user stories. Talk about how much is done, how much is not done. Create cumulative flow diagrams. Put those on a dashboard. So by adding different data sources, we could turn this into a tool for people in different fields. And so that is the way that I'm planning to go to market with this. The CSV set of features will be for everybody, and that'll be for free. And then the packs that add different data sources, different types of data sources, that each one of those will be an in-app purchase. And I'm targeting a one-time in-app purchase because all of this runs on your machine. I don't have any additional cost when you are using those data sources. So, but then that's still not really talking about the Jinaga angle. How is this Jinaga Cascade? Well, let's suppose that you were to say, I want to add a data source, and this is a Jinaga Replicator. So now I want to go to this replicator, and I want to run a specification and pull in the projection from that specification. I pull in that projection, and then now I see the results of the projection as nested objects, and I can start to analyze my my data from my Jinaga application. So that's pretty powerful, because this little progress bar right here, right now, it's showing the progress bar because it's loading chunk by chunk from the CSV file. But if we connected it to a replicator, then as new facts were replicated, then those facts would match the specification, and then they would come in and they would flow through the pipeline. So this wouldn't be a progress bar that would eventually be done. This would be an indeterminate progress bar. We would keep on working on it. And so we would set up a cascade that now is connected live to a Jinaga replicator. And so as things happen, the dashboard that we build here updates. So that is how it's your gateway into the Jinaga ecosystem. But now once you have that, let's say that we've got this pipeline that we've built. We've done a few steps here. So yeah, we've got our pipeline steps. Let's go ahead and sum over the sum the total amount over orders into total ordered, right? Okay, so now I've got my total ordered by brand. You can see that's starting to build a nice little report. So I build that report. I want that report to be part of my application. But the users of my application aren't going to install Jinaga Cascade. And besides, I'm not going to give them that kind of access to my replicator to do that. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the pipeline steps, which are just written as text inside of that Jinaga Cascade file, and I will deploy that pipeline to a brand new infrastructure component, one that I hinted on this show in the past. It's the Jinaga Aggregator. So the Jinaga Aggregator will take these pipelines and it will subscribe to feeds from the Jinaga Replicator, and then it will give you an endpoint where you can now pull this aggregated data. And so you're not pulling the individual facts and running the aggregation on the client anymore. You are getting the aggregate straight from the aggregator service component. And so now you can deploy a whole bunch of aggregates into your Jinaga infrastructure. You can then create a user interface that displays that aggregate, or connect that to a reporting system, show a table. You can maybe bring in 3JS and build a dashboard that you include in your application. And all of that would be backed by the Jinaga Aggregator. So all of the work of keeping this up to date is happening on the server. And then as it updates, it pushes out to the client. So that's how it all fits into Jinaga. So this is your on-ramp to the Jinaga ecosystem. This is how you will eventually experience Jinaga as an environment for building data-rich applications. I foresee the Factual Studio idea that we've talked about a number of times on this channel. I foresee that being an experience very similar to what we see here, where you're looking at an example of some facts, and then you are crafting a specification, rather than crafting that specification using LINQ or using TypeScript syntax. So craft that specification, deploy that to a replicator, craft a pipeline, deploy that to an aggregator, hook those things together, your application runs, and your end users get the insights they need quickly and correctly. This is all based on that mathematical foundation where you know that once you put this together, that's exactly what it does. Once I get all the bugs fixed, at least. So I'm really excited about Jinaga Cascade. I'll be deploying that to the stores sometime in January. So be on the lookout for those. We will have the free versions out there in January 1st. Not on January 1st, but in January, before we do any of the in-app purchases. So yeah, check that out. Give it a try. I will let you know when you can download Jinaga Cascade for yourself. And in the meantime, build something awesome. I will see you right back here next week.